Alright, this video is for number 7. It is the base plate. It's going to require the use of the hole tool and rectangular pattern tool. We're going to start that with the standard inch IPT. As that's loading up, let's take a look at our image. I am only going to just inspect this image right here. This is all we really need. We're going to follow everything. We're going to be able to decipher what these labels mean, go over that together as we go through this. So, we've got a top and a bottom. Now, this plate doesn't have to be drawn on the top plane. So, we're going to pick one side to be one, the other side to be the back here. So, I'm going to start a 2D sketch. I'm going to go ahead and just put that on the front plane. And what I'm looking at is an object that is overall 11 units long. Since we're in inches, we're going to leave it as inches. It is 11 inches long. And here, 4 inches high. So I'm going to draw that as a rectangle. And I'm going to go 11 on the X. I'm going to hit Tab and 4 on the Y and hit Enter. And that creates the 11 by 4 rectangle. I could add the fillets in right now, or I can do it later. Again, I like adding the fillets usually as just a feature. But in this case, for the practice, let's go ahead and add it as part of the sketch. So I'm going to choose fillet. I'm going to type in 0.5 and just click the lines all the way around. 2, and finally here. And what that is we're being told 0.5 radius on the fillet, typical. So that means it's all 4 of those are typically 0.5. So I'm going to go ahead and hit X, finish the sketch, and then I have to extrude this piece. Now the extrusion thickness is shown here. It is a depth of 0.5, so I'm going to go extrude, make it 0.5, and leave it be. So you have an option of doing this part first or this part. I am going to go ahead and do the top one first. So I'm going to start a new sketch on that face. Notice that we have this center line running all the way through, or this kind of construction line. It is a center line for all these holes, showing where the center marks would be, and it's 2 units down. So I'm going to grab a line. I'm going to go ahead and come to the midpoint. I'm just hovering over. Notice when I get to the green, that's my midpoint. Hovering over, and I'm going to go straight across to the other side, to the midpoint right there. And right-click OK. That's now fully constrained. I don't really want this to be a real line, so I'm going to turn it into a construction line. So I can click that, right-click it, and choose construction. Now at this point, before when we did holes, we needed to use points. We're going to do the same thing again, so we're going to add in 4 points for those points there, and then we'll come back through and dimension them properly. So I'm going to go point, and I'm just going to put the points directly on the line. You'll see that Y is 2 when I'm doing this. 2, 1 in about the middle, and 1 over here on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and dimension these. Make sure you click the point. It highlights a little bit. Click the edge. This is going to be 0.4375. This point to this edge, I'm going to go ahead and click to place, but notice that it is 5.5. This point here to the edge, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. From this point to the edge, I'm going to go with 1.5. So that second point out there is 1.5. Add my dimension. And finally, the very first point I placed is also 0.4375. So I can click that, bring it to the side, and I'm just going to use that same value over there. So that takes care of that. I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch. Before we do that, or before we go to the back side, we're going to add the holes in to show what's going on. The 2 small holes are a diameter of 0.3125 through times 2. So that means there's 2 at a diameter of 0.3125. It gives us times 2 notation so that we don't have so many dimensions and arrows on our part. Same thing over here. The hole itself is a diameter of 0.25 through, so it's going to go all the way through. We can see that because it's right there. And then we have a countersink hole with the outside diameter of that countersink to be 0.5 at an angle of 82 degrees times 2. So that means this hole and this hole are countersink. So I'm going to choose hole. Notice we have many centers, so I'm going to just do the 2 outsides first. I'm going to hold down Control and deselect the 2 middle ones. This symbol is the symbol for countersink, so I'm going to come pick that. My inside diameter right there is 0.25. That's through, so right now my termination is through. The upper diameter of the countersink is 0.5 at 82 degrees. So we see that. You can go ahead and hit OK. In order to use that same sketch again, I need to expand hole 1, right-click Sketch 2, and share the sketch. It's going to give us an opportunity to use these two. So I'm going to go back to hole. This time, it's a 0.3125 through hole, so it's just simply a drilled hole with a diameter of 0.3125. I'm not deselecting any centers because I want, or any points because that's what I want. So all I need to do is make sure I got the drilled hole with a diameter of 0.3125 and hit OK. So that's that side. I'm going to rotate to the other side now. And notice that we have these little tiny 832 screw holes drilled to a depth of 0.2875 at the center point of all these fillets that were created early on. So that's what we're going to add in. We're going to add in 1 and then use the rectangular pattern to place the other 3. So I'm going to go ahead and click back here, start a new sketch, and I simply just need to place a point referencing that right there. I just hovered over the arc and then I can place a point right there. That's all I needed to do. I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch. Alright, so now I'm going to place the hole at that point. It is that 8/32 UNC hole, so it is a tapped screw hole. So when I open up the hole command, we need to make sure we have tapped hole there. I have a couple of things to point out. The hole depth is 0.2875. The actual tap must be smaller than that. I cannot have the same value there, so I went ahead and just put 0.25 inches for this. In most cases, it would pretty much go almost to the end. Your threads, by default, you were probably at 0.3125, showing designation of 5/16. If you click the menu here, you click here, we can pick a different size. And this is actually a number 8 screw. So 8/32 screw. I'm going to pick number 8. Notice that that's my designation, 8/32 screw. For this point, I need to go, I'm not going to leave the class there. I'm going to leave it at the right hand. The termination is your distance there. It looks like my value's changed here, so I do need to change that back. Hovering over, this one is my thread depth. So again, I'm going to go 0.25. And my height here, I'm going to go 0.2875. And I just need to pick a center. So I can pick that center point, click OK. Now I'm going to use rectangular pattern to get it placed the rest of the way. Come up to rectangular pattern. It's right up here above circular pattern. The feature that I'm going to pattern is this single hole. So if it's difficult, you just can see I got some threads there. The single hole. And then I need 2 directions. So this direction, I'm going to click here. Notice my arrow's going the wrong way. It's not going the way I want it to. I can flip that. And my spacing needs to be way over here. So the overall is 11. I went in 0.5 here, and I went in 0.5 here. So 11 minus the total of 1 is 10. So this is going to be 10 for my spacing. My other direction is the vertical. It's going the correct way this time. My overall is 4, and subtracting 1 for the total of from the edges, this needs to be 3. And that gives me the proper spacing for all holes in doing this. So I'm going to click OK. That finishes up the plate. Go ahead and get it submitted, and thank you for watching.